Hey, dear Tyler. Good evening. How are you doing? I hope you're good. I hope you're fine. So it's really nice being able to reach out to you again. And I'm sure we've been enjoying the series that I've been on in all of the topics. And I'm glad that, especially for the last episode, right, confronting your ex, I'm really, really glad that what I shared was able to help people. Because I think a lot of people have been dealing with quite a lot, and it's very important that you take out time to heal before take the next step into especially any relationship, right? One of the major things that I said is that it's really unfair to bleed on someone that didn't cut you, right? And then you now pour out your anger on that particular individual, right? And somebody else suffers for the wounds that someone else caused. So I'm glad that it really did resonate to a lot of people, right? And I really do hope that we're able to share these contents. I'm really grateful that most of these, in fact, Dear Tyler itself is on multiple platforms, right? So for those people that really are not into like podcasting platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, you could always check it out on YouTube, right? And YouTube also has its own podcast platform, but you could check it out, listen to it. And, most importantly, I would really appreciate if you get to share the content with other people. Let people know some of these things, the truths that I get to share, or my perspective, right, that I get to share. In as much as they may not be perfect, I believe that they do help one way or the other. So I remember when I put the teaser out for this particular episode, a lot of people came into my DM and they're like, okay, they're really, really excited, right? And am I excited about it? Yeah, I am, how to fall in love with me, how to, the secret to my heart, right? The things that matter. And so, for some people, they'll look at it from the perspective that, okay, I'm about to tell you, if you want to win my heart, this is what you're going to do. Definitely, that's going to be absolutely risky. Absolutely risky, right? There's a part of the Bible, I think, in Solomon, Songs of Solomon, chapter 3, I believe, either chapter 3 or chapter 5. It says that do not awaken love before it's time, right? So do not put people in a position that they'll just end up loving you, when you're not ready to reciprocate. Right. Secondly, I never said the me was me, right? So it doesn't have to be me, like talking about my own person, right? I could have been speaking from a different perspective. Maybe it's someone that told me that this is how to fall in love with me. This is the secret to my heart, and something like that. So I would start this particular episode with a scripture. Somewhere I believe it should be in 1st or 2nd Corinthians, right? Where the Bible says that who knows the heart of a man except the spirit of a man, right? And who knows the heart of God except the spirit of God? And that, the spirit, searches the deep things of God, and reveals those deep secrets to us. If we've ever, for those of us that are, widely, we've read quite a lot of books, we've read quite a lot of things. We've received a lot of information, especially from Gary Chapman. He talks about the 5 love languages, right? The 5 love languages. And the 5 love languages is an attempt to express how people receive love and how people give love, right? Or how people interpret love, right? And he was able to break it down into 5 major aspects. So we've got gifts, we've got acts of service, we've got words of affirmation, we've got quality time, and then we've got physical touch. And somehow I've not, as much as I have, meditated, and contemplated on these aspects, I've not actually found anything that falls outside these 5 love languages, right? These 5 love languages. Now, I would share just a little story, right? And I would use me, for instance. I don't know if this is going to be implicating. I hope it's not. I hope it's not implicating, but I just want you to be able to learn something, because it's very important for you to be able to love people the way they understand love, right? And also from your own perspective, you should be able to interpret love in the right way, because a lot of us want, we would love the way we want to be loved generally. We would love the way we want to be loved. So if I'm a quality time person, right, I would, my major expression, right, my major expression of love would be quality time. When I give quality time, I feel I am loving you, because that's what I interpret as love. Right? I feel I'm loving you because that's what I interpret as love at that moment. But because I love quality time, it does not mean that you are also bound by that. And sometimes it can cause a very frustrating scenario, right? Maybe somebody's love expression, right, is gifts, right? Whenever you buy something for them, whenever you're coming to see them, you package something. And the thing about gifts is someone that truly appreciates gifts, right? There's always the purity aspect of these 5 love languages. There will always be excesses. So the excess of words of affirmation, right, will be flattery and lies, right? Flattery and lies. The excess of acts of service will be slaving yourself for someone, right? Quality time, right, is guilt tripping people into staying in your corner, right? For gifts is being unnecessarily demanding. Physical touch, that one, we don't even have to go into it, you understand? There are certain expressions of it that are not just pure, but in its purest, right, in its purest form, right, if you're somebody that loves gifts, right, in its purest form, it's not just the gift that comes, right, the nature of the gift that comes, but the fact that every time a person thinks about you, they desire to bring something that communicates their heart to you, right? Communicates their heart to you. Now, like I said, one of the major issues, right? Major issues is how can people, how people tend to love others the way they want to be loved, right? The way they want to be loved. And I said I was going to give an example. I don't know if I'm reconsidering it. Maybe there's a high possibility that I am. But there was something that the Spirit of the Lord told me one time. He said that you can do many things for me out of love. But at that moment, I would receive it because I interpret it as your way of loving me. But you need to understand that there is a way I want to be loved. And until you ask me, you would never know how I want to be loved. You can stand and assume that, oh, okay, Lord, I know that you desire to spend time with me, right? Or I should spend time with you. And at that point, the Lord really wants me to reach out to somebody. Now, He knows that my staying in His presence at that time is an expression of love. But what He wants really is for me to probably reach out to someone. Now, this is no law, Medes and Persia or something. This is really about your individual work, and also about how sensitive you are to the promptings of the Spirit. So, if I do something, right, in love, right, God receives it as my act of love. But the truth is that until I find out what His heart is beating for and follow it, I have not genuinely loved Him. So, let's take an instance. I'll still give my analogy. I guess I'll be that vulnerable. There was something that Bill Johnson said years ago in a message that I heard. He said that the difference between Martha and Mary is that Martha was making cookies, right, that the Lord did not ask for. That the Lord's desire was to see them, spend time with them, and, interact with them. She was so bothered about serving, right? And in her serving, right, it was an expression of her love, and in its purest form, right? She did it from a very pure heart, not, for any reason to make, maybe try to make an impression. No, that was her own communication of love. But the master wanted to have her, right, and let them have a discussion, let them interact with each other. And he said that, you're combat about so many things, but then Mary has chosen that which is most important. At that time, food was not on his mind. What was on his mind was the desire to interact with these people. And so Bill Johnson said that Martha's problem was that she was making cookies that the master had never requested for. Probably if she had sat down with him, she would have really gotten to know the exact thing he wanted, if it was in maybe like a meal-based request. Do you understand? So, and I think this is one problem that ladies usually have with guys, especially maybe like in a relationship, or especially in marriage. I used to get to hear it a lot from my married friends, where they're like, somebody says, the one question that they hate asking their husbands is, what do you want to eat? And then the man answers anything. And it just puts them in a limbo, like, I want to satisfy you, right? And I cannot satisfy you until you tell me what you want, right? I cannot satisfy you until you tell me what you want. The secret to my heart, right, is actually finding what my heart desires. And I'm the one that is going to tell you. You're not going to discover it by mere guessing, trying, different ideas here and there. There's something that we say in Nigeria, tinini tanana, right? So you're just throwing blanks here, checking here, and hoping that what you do is going to be the correct thing. No, it doesn't work like that. The secret to my heart lies with me as an individual. And you've got to really, really be after my heart for me to be able to pour out my heart to you, right? And until I say, trust me, you would never know. Until I say, trust me, you'd never know. Now, let me give you a little scenario. Years ago, right, I had this friend of mine. We eventually got close and all. And we got into a relationship. Yes, me and this lady. We got into a relationship. There was a lot of, novice actions in it. And one time, when we're talking, she confronted me and was like, Binga, you don't like ladies that wear trousers, right? I looked at her, I was like, Ma? She said, yeah. And I like ladies with short hair. I was like, what do you mean? She said that she was ready to, toss out all her trousers and then cut her hair. I looked at her and I said, Ma, please don't do that. Don't do that. And I was like, I love long hair. I love long hair. I'm not very particular about the dressing, but I have absolutely nothing wrong with wearing trousers. I think it's fine, right? I believe that everything should be done to a certain level of modesty, with a certain level of modesty, right? So, you know your body, you know your type, right? So anything that is over revealing, right, or over compressing, I just don't think it's very presentable, right? But then as an attire, trouser, no. Why should I have a problem with that, right? And she was shocked, and I asked her, I was like, okay, Tom, babe, how far? Why do you think that? She said that she noticed that a lot of the ladies that were around me at that time, like maybe people that my female friends, right, most of them used to wear skirts and they used to cut their hair. And I told her, I said that, oh, sorry, these ones, they just have their own personal conviction. They don't wear trousers at all. Do you understand, right? And for whatever reason, the burden of keeping hair, basically made them cut it. But I said that all of these things, I like hair, or I like, some of these other things. Now, does it mean that for me it's a deal breaker? No, definitely it's not a deal breaker, right? So whether long hair, short hair, trousers, skirt, or, all of those things are, as much as I would appreciate them, they're not deal breakers for me. So I'm not going around, necessarily maybe like checking around and checking, oh, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you meet up to this? No. the real thing, the most important thing, and maybe it's because it has happened over time, when you've grown, right, you've lived life over a certain period of time and you've made a lot of mistakes, you will begin to pick out what's really important and like what really matters to you and what doesn't matter to you, right? Matters to you, what doesn't matter to you. I remember when I was trying to get to really like a particular person, one of my many relationship journeys. It's kind of tough talking about it, but yeah, I really hope that it helps you. One thing that I did was that I asked the lady, okay, what do you like? Some of the things, what are your dreams, your passions? What do you consider as valuable? And she told me, she loves gowns, and that her favorite artist was Darlene Zedge. And I was like, okay, cool. So I have absolutely no interest in gowns. As a manly man, I don't think I should be browsing over gowns. But because I was doing my best to get to the heart of somebody that I truly admired, right? I went out, searched for gowns, right? And, just started talking about it. And before she was like, oh my God, I love this gown. Where did you see it? Blah, 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 blah. And I was just sending, and somehow it opened the person's heart to me. I feel very somehow talking about this topic. But anyway, then it was her birthday. And what I did was I took a very, very large leap of faith, right? I reached out to Darlene Zedge. And luckily I got to get across to her secretary. And I pleaded, I was like, okay, there's this friend of mine, that I didn't tell Darlene that I liked the lady, but I said, there's this friend of mine that really, really admires you. You're one of her favorite worship leaders, and her birthday is coming up. Now I know that it's a lot to ask, but could you kindly maybe just drop a call for her on her birthday, if that would be helpful and all, and the secretary was gracious enough to respond to me and was like, oh, thank you so much for your message. Okay, and I actually made one other request, but she was like, okay, thank you so much for your message, that at this point, Darlene will not be able to do such, but Darlene would get one of her albums and personally autograph it and send it to her, that all they needed was the address information, right? And so I sent, the address information to them, and they sent the package. Now, the problem is that our whole postal system in Nigeria, then, I think somebody ended up siphoning the package. So on the lady's birthday now, I really didn't have much to give, right? But I just got the email. I just grabbed it, and then sent it to her so that she could see. And she was like, oh my God, Benga, you did this for me and everything, right? And it really opened up for a relationship, me and her. But the reason why I'm sharing this is that I could have done a lot of things, right? I could have done a lot of things to try and impress her. Right? Now, I know my love language, and I'm not going to talk about it. Those that know me probably know what is my primary love language, right? So, but I could have used any of the 5, right? I could have gone through maybe quality time. I could have gone through gifts, physical touch, words of affirmation, and the acts of service, whatever it is. And I would have not gotten it, and it would have been frustrating. There's one thing that our generation is kind of like tired of, and that's what we call the talking stage. Most people are like, just write a PDF and then send. But it's through communication, right, that you really get to hear the heart of people. And you have to be genuinely interested in the person. In as much as knowing about the person is an advantage to your pursuit, right? Your pursuit should not be winning the heart of the person necessarily. Your pursuit should be really getting to know the person. So if I'm communicating with, let's say, someone that I have interest in, right? My desire to know the person should not stem from the fact that I'm interested in having something with the person. No, I genuinely want to know what you do what you love, what matters to you, so that I can imbibe the culture of always expressing it in a way that you love and you can understand, right? We have many languages in this world, right? What you may be saying is true, but if it's not understood properly, then you're not making any sense, right? If me as a person from Taraba and I speak Chamba or Jukun, right, maybe to my friend from Plateau, that's probably Birom or Magavul, right, and I'm speaking my own dialect, what I may be saying may be true, may be very powerful, may be very valuable and needed, but because that particular individual cannot receive it, does not know how to interpret it, then they also miss out on the benefit. And I am expelling a whole lot of energy, with so much passion and fire in my spirit. I'm saying things, I'm doing things, and this person cannot interpret it for me, right? Everything that I'm doing just seems, it just seems forced. You understand? It just seems forced. There's a part of scripture that says that when you come into a congregation, right, speaking a language that they know so that they can receive. If you come over and you just speak in tongues, especially in the midst of people that do not understand the concept and the principles behind speaking in tongues, right? A lot of them, they will not be able to say amen to what you're saying. But when you come and then you prophesy, speaking a language that they can understand, then they can now say amen to whatever declaration that you are making, right? So it's very important that you get to learn what the person wants by asking. That's the secret to the heart of people, right? If you want to win anybody over in life, right, be genuinely interested in them, right? In them and their own progress, not that because you want them for yourself, right? And then it's also important on the flip side, right? There's always a flip side to this thing. In relationships have to do with more than one individual, right? So it's not about you, it's not about me. So if I am a sucker for gifts, if I'm a sucker for words of affirmation, right, I'm not going to expect that this particular individual would be forced to give me in the way that I interpret. I, on my own, should be able to know that at some times, the humanity of this individual is going to catch up with that person. The humanity of that individual will catch up with that individual. And they're going to express love the way that they know how to express it best. So it's my responsibility to know what their own love language is, so that when they're expressing it to me, I can interpret it as love also. It's very important that I do not allow my relationship to be one-sided, that I am the recipient, right? There has to be a mutual point where both of us are learning each other. We have to learn each other. So your love language is words of affirmation. My love language is probably acts of service. And I'm expecting you to do some acts of service. And then maybe you're sending me text messages every morning, right? Or just telling me nice words. Oh, I believe in you. All of those kind of things. If I do not really understand you, right, I am not being fair on you. If I'm going to consistently make demands and say, you're not contributing to my vision, you're not coming into my life, you're not directly helping me, coming to help me sort out one or two things, right? This is me being absolutely unfair. But because I have learned to know you, for you, right, for who you are, when I see you sending me words of affirmation, I'm like, this person is loving me in the best way that they can at this moment, right? And probably they've forgotten that I may not understand it that way. But because I know them, I know that they're doing this on the sincerity of their heart, and I would receive it. And I would receive it. Every relationship will always thrive, right, on the basis of real mutual understanding and respect for individuality, right? I am not A, and A is not me. It's a very, very simple but complex fact, and it's something that we have to really, really receive. So, how would you ever fall in love with me? How would you ever fall in love with any other person, right? Until you find out what matters to the person, you never matter to the person, truly. And people are very smart because they can read when all you're trying to do in finding out about them is looking for a way into their lives. No. People are very, very discerning, especially people that have gone through life. They've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. They've had their own fair share of experiences. So they're very, very discerning. So if you come in a manipulative fashion, people will figure you out. Oh, you're only doing this for me because you want me to go out with you, or you want me to love you or reciprocate. The truth is that every relationship that we have, right, we should look at it from an eternal perspective. If I like a lady, for instance, and I'm getting to know that lady, right, and I'm getting to know her genuinely for her person, not because I am desiring to be in a relationship with her. If at the end of the day we find out that, oh, this thing is not going to work, there is a mutual respect, and I can still express love. Love doesn't always have to be in an intimate way, maybe like something that leads to marriage, right? I love my friends, but because I've come to understand and discern them, I know what to do and what to say, to be able to communicate love in the best way. So if I learn to know people genuinely for themselves, it helps me to maintain the relationship, even if things don't work out the way we had planned it, to work out. I have this very, very great friend of mine, and we were in a relationship for a time, and for some reason it was my fault, just messed up. I misinterpreted a lot of things, and she's one of the ladies in my life that has my back, right? Always, like, we talk as much as we can. Life catches up with people and all. She's married now, the beautiful family, but we still maintain that level of decorum and respect. And to be honest, it's something I learned from her, because over time I realized that all I was trying to do at that time was, my interest in her was so that we could be in a relationship, but she really, really developed an interest in me as a person called Binga. And I learned that really that's the best way to live life. When you get to meet people, right, do not think about what you can receive, right? That should not be your major goal. That should not be your prerogative. What you should be thinking about is, how can I best communicate love to this particular person, right? That even irrespective if I get what I desire or not, right, that I have done something that this individual will be eternally grateful for. And if the opportunity comes for me to interact with this person again, I would know what to do that can be of help to that individual. That's very important. When people know that they are genuinely cared for, their hearts would really, really open. Now, this is the last vulnerable statement that I would say concerning this, because this is entering 30 minutes. I didn't even know. I've had discussions with a lot of friends and a lot of people, talking about maybe like my relationship status as of now. So probably in the nearest future, if you're listening to this, right, there's a high tendency that I'm married. But as at the time of this recording, right, I'm a single gentleman. And one of the questions that they've asked me is that, what's my spec? What am I looking for? And I told them, I said, growing up I had my own fantasies, and everybody should. And I'm an avid believer that you should always be with someone that is physically appealing to you, right? Physical appeal is relative to the individual, right? People say that there's an adage that says beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what you may consider as beautiful is not what I may consider as beautiful, right? But it's very important that you are actually physically attracted to the person. Physical attraction matters. But in as much as I look out for things that I consider as physical attractions, I realize that over time, my desires just became, I want someone who truly loves me. And I think that that's the heart cry for everybody. They really just want to be loved. Really just want to be loved. They don't want to feel like maybe someone is trying to take advantage of them for a certain access, because this is what I feel makes people fall out of love. Now, I'm no authority, I'm not married and all, but with the little discussions that I've had with a lot of married couples, right, they always say that their interest in their spouse never dwindles. So it's not like, oh, I finally married you now and then I don't care, I've gotten what I want. No, the interest still continues, right? Now they just have a deeper relationship and they're able to share things on a more intimate platter. But basically, the same pursuit still remains. That they can sincerely feel the genuine heart of their spouse. So if you ever want to fall in love, or you want any other person to really fall in love with you, or you want to fall in love with someone, right? Be genuinely interested in the people. And you can only be genuinely interested when you really take out time to communicate. Now, you can always be uptight. You know, some people are just uptight. And why are you around me? What do you want? If you're uptight like that, trust me, nothing will really happen in your life. Trust me. Not everybody that comes to say hello wants to ask you out. I think that's even a topic for another time. Maybe we'll figure how to inculcate that particular topic into this month. You know, have a lot of misinterpretations, right? That people have, right? But be open enough to be able to have, you know, mature conversations. You really don't know what God will be able to do through it. So I've definitely stretched this particular episode. I didn't even know that it was going to be this long, but I really do hope that it has blessed you, right? I really do hope that it has blessed you. Get to know yourself, know who you are, know what you want, know what matters to you, right? And then be as open as possible when people want to help and people really want to be involved in your life for genuine reasons, right? Don't make it so much of some mysterious journey and make it very difficult for them. No, just be as open as you can, right? And let the things flow. And then from your own side too, be genuinely interested in other people, that you get to know how you can best interpret them. My final words, right, Tyler, is this. The goal is not to be heard. The goal is to be understood. I can talk in a language that you'll hear, but I can also speak in a language that you'll not understand. No matter how loud I speak, if it's in a language you don't understand, it's unfruitful to you. So no matter how much I love you, if it's in a language you do not understand, then it's unfruitful to you. No matter how much you love me, if it's in a language I don't understand, it's not going to be fruitful for you. Right? It's just going to be very, very burdensome. So, and if you're not open to also knowing people's heart, right, you would feel like people are not trying their best for you. So it's very, very important that we do all of that. So yeah, I've talked a lot, and I really do hope that this episode blessed you, right? Remember that I love you, I believe in you, and I'm always rooting for you. Bye.